Now, what do you suggest we do? Spank it.
You're listening to Comics Podcasting on the edge of civility.
Everybody's got a thing for their creators.
It's true, but, like Adams is so rare.
It's difficult to find an Art Adams book nowadays, even his own shit. I wonder what. Hi, how are you? I wonder what the fuck he's doing.
Yeah,
we should look him up and find out.
No Monkey Man and O'Brien in a while either.
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre. Right, so here we are.
Are we recording?
We am.
Okay.
We am.
We am?
Oops. We are, in fact.
Me is Ricordo.
Stupid half-cousin of Bizarro.
Ricardo, Bizarro World number 18 podcaster. Yeah, I can't keep going with that. I don't
It doesn't
care.
really work.
No, not even a little.
There's been Mario the Godfather. That's funny. There's been no... It's episode 204, I should say that, of the Mean Geek Comics Podcasting on the edge of civility. It's early afternoon. It's not even 1. We're drinking beer. We've just completed the great comics reorg of 2015.
It was really reorg. This was the last stitch. The only thing was really the ROMs and a couple of rebags.
Yeah.
Although you're doing a full rebag soon anyway, right?
Yeah, probably next year. I'll pay the nephews to do it. Impress them with how much shit I own. Everything's done. We got boxes for to be signed, boxes for stuff that is signed, boxes of stuff to be sold, boxes of stuff to give away.
Now we weren't able to pull as much for signatures coming up because the computer did some sort of weird revamp.
Yeah, we were going to look for a few things, and there was some updates, and it made us reboot. And that's what you get for Windows 10, which isn't even out yet. So, whatever. At any rate, I don't think there's any neat comic news this week. Except it turns out that Jared Leto Joker image is not what they're going to be putting in the film.
Oh, thank God, because that looked
Which
awful.
is fine with me, because, yeah, you're right. That was terrible.
Yeah, no, that was...
You think the Joker's really going to sit around getting all that shit tatted up? I mean, he'd get bored halfway through the first one and shoot the fucking tattoo artist through the skull.
Well, you know what? I mean, they're doing different things with different Jokers at this point. I get that. It's more the DC crap that just irks me, but...
They can't just give us a character and call it even and write them well. They have to revamp them for the times. Oh my God, look, this hip and trendy Joker, right, man? It drives me up the wall. I don't care about this shit anymore. I think Suicide Squad's going to be a terrible flick, honestly.
I want it to be good because I like Suicide Squad, but I don't like the current Suicide Squad, which is what they're making. Harley Quinn on film could work. Will Smith as Deadshot is odd to me.
Yeah, he never plays a villain to begin with.
Well, you're also talking about a damn villain who wants to kill himself. Like, yeah. Deadshot's defining characteristic is not wanting to be on the planet in a certain way. It doesn't seem very Smithy to me.
Nah, it really isn't his character at all, so to speak. But the other thing is he really going to want to wear that stupid mask with the sight on it all day long?
If he doesn't, I don't want him in the damn... Like, I don't want to see him walking around not wearing it. Like, there's a point to being Deadshot.
It's all going to be very terrible. I can guarantee it.
Well, you know what? I saw an article that I did not bother to read.
Yeah?
In which they were talking about, like, is the new crop of comic movies what's going to kill it? And they had a picture of, a mocked-up picture of Sherlock as Doctor Strange there. And the thing is, like, the amount of money going into these things...
Yeah.
As long as they maintain the quality, like, it doesn't matter if you have a bad comic book movie here or there.
Yeah.
It's just consistently not having them all be awful.
Right.
And, when Joss Whedon drops the Avengers and they go to some C-level director, like, you have to still make smart choices and go forward. But Marvel's done that all along. DC has not. But to be fair, like, DC's film choices, yeah, like, obviously Joel Schumacher was a fiasco, but there was no reason to assume that at the time. Like, you were dealing with, coming off a highly stylized director.
Right.
You go to another one. Like, the guy did
You
Lost
wouldn't
Boys.
think it wouldn't matter.
And Flatliners, like, movies that had, dark cinematic qualities and over-the-top and comic book feels to them.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't a terrible... Going a second time to that well might not have been genius.
The fact that the third one made enough money to make the fourth constantly blows my mind. I mean, I remember coming home from that and having to pop in the first one to feel good again.
You saw that in the theater?
I went, yeah, I was just, hi.
Did you go to the fourth one in the theater?
Yeah. I believe me, I mentally slapped myself around for that one. I didn't even bother. I just sulked. I didn't even bother throwing in the first one to feel good again. I just kind of like, fucking assholes. Goddamn Felicia Silverstone. Uncle Alfred. No. I don't care. Bye.
That was a rough choice.
What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age.
Really?
Yeah, Schwarzenegger was fucking... You knew that Schwarzenegger played Freeze, though.
Yeah, no, I know that in Bane and Poison Ivy, like, I know the details. I've never watched it. Like I said, I've never seen the third one.
You know how to watch Batman and Robin?
No.
I'll tell you how to watch Batman and
Drunk?
Robin. Drunk, with the sound down, and skipping over everything except Poison Ivy walking around.
Okay.
Hey, man, a 24-year-old Uma Thurman, what can I tell you?
I can see how that would work for you.
Let's talk some comics, because we could skip around this shit all day long.
But to get back to the movies, like, they just need to get... Marvel... Like, the Hulk movies were fiascos, but they tried... Like, Ang Lee, like, they put real money into that.
They did. They put a lot of effort, but there was a lot of decisions in the storytelling that were just so poor.
But they seem to have a better handle on it, and I think that Doctor Strange will probably be a pretty good movie. Is it going to make a lot of money? Maybe not. It is a character not
It is a secondary character, but if we don't go for the secondary characters and make them primary characters, then we're stuck with 6 Cat movies till people get sick of that shit.
Right. You know? And Guardians is certainly far lower on the food chain than Doctor Strange, and that movie was amazing.
I've read far more Doctor Strange than I've read Guardians.
And, well, that's only recently.
No, even in high school.
No, that's true, actually.
Because I did read the one in where he shared the book in the 80s with Cloak and Dagger.
Strange Tales.
Yes, I read a lot of those. So...
But, yeah, no, Guardians was phenomenal. Ant-Man, to all intents and purposes, looks at least interesting. Doctor Strange, and then you got the Captain Marvels and the Black Panthers and all this other stuff coming up.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Just DC needs to get off this we need to be serious filmmakers high horse of theirs. They have had success in what they've done. Like, the Batman films were hugely successful, and the Marvel films only exist because of the success of the Batman films. That's absolutely correct. But not every character they have is Batman.
Well, they're trying to stay within their... Marvel isn't really stretching the envelope and doing them a different way. Like, let's be fair. To expect DC to do this successfully, and DC tried. Green Lantern was done in an entirely different style, and it was a bomb.
Yeah, well, they didn't make a lot of good choices on that one.
Not really any.
The lead man was just not right.
Well, they were trying for a light comedic, and, Ryan Reynolds is obviously, theoretically... Well, we've talked about it. Theoretically, Ryan Reynolds should be excellent in a comic book lead. And Deadpool, to all intents and purposes, is at least looking interesting at this point.
Yeah.
Them making an R rating choice was a very smart move. Them showing him shooting Mario Lopez is obviously going to speak to the fanboy and a lot of people. But Ryan Reynolds being a light, smack-talking superhero... The problem, of course, is twofold. Is one, Green Lantern seems like it makes perfect sense because it's very visual and it's all rings and battles.
It allows you to be very imaginative.
Which they weren't. And B, Green Lantern's a dick. He's not a fun, happy-go-lucky hero.
No, he really isn't, man. You want happy-go-lucky, you go blue and gold.
Blue and gold. Blue and gold, well, that needs to be the DC Netflix TV series.
That's the comedy buddy cop movie everyone wants in
13
their comics,
episodes of Blue and Gold, and then you do a Fire and Ice one, a Martian Manhunter, and a Max Lord, and it all comes together to become the Justice League of Europe. Tell me that's not genius.
I would love that. I would adore every second of that screen time.
Actually, you could even do Booster and Beetle as 13 parters and bring them all together that way too. Phenomenal.
It would be fun, I'm telling you. But we do have comics to get to.
We always have comics to get.
Yeah, well, you want to get home when you want to get home.
Oh, good.
And if we got to do this, then
yes,
we got to do it.
Yes, this is a rare not recording at the Rev's place.
Yeah. So, February's non-big two books. The indies.
And it's a small indie pile. Now, a couple of them got missed and are sitting in next month's.
And a couple
due to
of
a
them,
transfer, and a couple didn't show.
Right. But we got plenty to deal with.
Oh, yes. So. Yes, we do.
Oh, boy. Yeah. Criminal. You know, we're not talking about... We talked about Criminal. Did you want to talk about...
No, we didn't talk about the one-shot.
Oh, that's where Red 1 went.
Yeah, that was me.
I thought this was just a reprint. I didn't even read it.
No. That's a whole new story.
Well, shit.
It's a single one-shot.
God damn it.
I didn't even read it?
Yeah, I thought
Didn't you buy one?
I thought it was a reprint. I
So you
put it
didn't
away
get one?
without even reading it. Fuck. Let's start off with Saga 25.
Okay.
There's some backstory world building kind of stuff, but it has the standard the poor go off to fight routine, and there's just nothing new in that aspect except the visuals.
Yeah, no, obviously these being horned people, the difference between... It's helpful in terms of building the difference between the two worlds.
Yeah.
Like, one world is very martial and very pro-war, and the other is like, the poor and the destitute go, #Obama, and the rest are like raving party bitches. It's political theory 101. It's not very subtle, but it does build the difference between the two character bases, and it also
and that's smart.
It also kind of reveals, like, when she's making different choices than he is, and she's doing drugs as an actress. There's a world of fuck up behind her, pushing her into this. It doesn't strike me as a world filled with highly competent people, sadly. Although that can't be the whole thing, because obviously they're able to go to war with these freaking other ones with swords all over the places and not have a problem.
Right, so somebody's got to have a little skill and forethought in there.
Meanwhile, they're trapped in a prison while milking their walrus.
Which is fucking disgusting. And they've been there for 3 months with the robot janitor Denga. And 3 months? Come on. At this point, Marco is missing. And, the two, Mom and Alana, are, as you said, milking the walrus in their...
Dude, it sounds wrong.
Milking the walrus in their tree rocket. It just sounds like if you took Alice in Wonderland and then ran it through an Alan Moore adult filter.
Yeah, no, I mean...
and then had Grant Morrison shit it out.
Well, you could describe this whole book that way, sadly. However, I want you... for those of you who listen at home, and I don't actually believe we have any listeners, but the Tech Jedi constantly assures me otherwise, I want you to try this little test. If you're a child, stop listening right now. Like, just run away. However, if you are a child... Go up to your parents and say, hey, I just milked the walrus, and see what happens. If you're not, go up to your wife, husband, roommate, anyone, and say, hey, I just milked the walrus. See what they assume that means. Because I'm betting, despite it being a completely ridiculous phrase, it will universally be taken the same disgusting way.
Nasty. I don't even know.
And please,
Jesus fuck.
Tweet us your reactions.
Yes, please.
Send us a response. I want to know.
Responses. We would love this. # milk the walrus. I will look for it. I'm serious. I will find it.
So filthy and wrong.
At this point, Alana's also in withdrawal, which is never fucking good.
And you know what? bravo for no sympathy. Like, I'm sorry, you took drugs. Now you feel bad because you can't get any more drugs. Like, no, my sympathy level is so fucking small for this. It's not like you're out of booze or some real problem.
Ouch. Who are you, Hemingway?
I'm chubby, I drink, and I have a friggin' ridiculous beard. You know, the corollaries.
You are Hemingway. Jesus fuck.
The hills are like white elephants.
Right, so Gwendolyn the Edge and Lion Cat and Rescue Girl encounter some dragons. Which is weird because they need dragon ball juice, apparently.
Oh, God, that was wrong.
Which is just like, are you fucking nuts?
Dude, you play all those fucking RPG games. If they're like, you need to get the sweat off Dragon Balls, you're like, I'm saving that quest for later.
I
Like,
used to play those.
I'm not
Believe
judging.
me,
I'm
if
just
they-
saying, like, you know, you gotta go and pick 18 opal lilies from the field of the Forgotten Warrior. No, I don't want to do that. Go and grab balls from 14 dragons. What the fuck? The hell kind of quest is this?
But it turns out that they don't actually find a male, so that's a mess.
Yeah, well, and then the freaking dragon vomits piss all over them, marking them as enemies so all the other dragons show up. That is a horrible genetic fucking...
Horrible. Where does that fill in the branch of genetics that just... How is... Stop. Just disgusting.
Well, you know what? They're dragons. I mean, they vomit fire, like the fucking excreting other things probably makes sense logically. I've just never really broken down dragon excretions the way I should have. And I apologize. As a podcaster and a pundit, I obviously should have put the time in and fucking... No! Absolutely goddamn not. But it again speaks to how amazing Vaughn is that he breaks his shit down in ways that would never occur. Like, there's a logic behind everything he does. It's just fucking weird.
Versus Morrison was just like, I thought this shit up while I was high. I'm putting it down on paper.
You hate Grant Morrison. I do not. I think there's more coherency behind what Grant is thinking. I think it's harder to find, though. Like, Vaughn has a logic that you can follow. Like, Grant Morrison probably has everything fucking planned out and, you know, indexed cards and thought 5 years in advance, for all I know. But when I'm reading, I'm like, what the fuck? Why is the monkey a pirate? Like, you know, he's probably got an entire backstory, like 18 issues in his head that'll never be written about monkey pirate fucking comics, like, which is too bad.
Monkey pirate comics. I might start reading monkey
That's
pirate
what I was
comics.
about to say. I was like, shit, yeah, I'm in, man. Just saying it out loud. Like, I want a monkey pirate comic. If there's probably nothing but inherent plans throughout that, I just don't recognize them. You can follow Vaughn and you see where he's going, and more importantly, when he gets there, you see where he was building to it, which is awesome.
So, to end it, Marco's been hanging around with Prince 4 and Goose, which I figure must be Goose because there's no reason for the H for Gus, you know?
Well, you know, the H is silent.
So
Plus, it's a seal shepherd, so I mean, he can call himself whatever the fuck he wants.
there's lots of tension between all the characters, and at the end, we get some new friends.
Yep. No, and there's also a big reveal, which is in the text part of it. You know, when the little baby's telling her story, she reveals that she won't see her father again for many, many years. So this is not getting quickly resolved.
No, I don't even know how many issues this is going to take. It's going to be, I'm thinking it's going to be at least 50.
Well, it's a saga. It should run a while. At least, 3 movies. And, the saga begins, the saga continues, the revenge of the saga.
I see where you're going.
Yeah. I would hope, really.
Yeah, you think? What's not much of a saga so far. Aha!
That was almost a segue. I feel like you almost practice them sometimes. Like, my segues suck, man. How can I make them
do
better?
not, in fact. Which explains everything. Is Odyssey 3.
This is totally a saga. I just don't care.
Now, Hera kills yet another lover of Zeus's by demanding
that Zeus
she
reveal.
that Zeus presents her true form during childbirth.
That is a nasty way to go.
Apparently, like every other god in the universe, if you see its true form, your fragile mind can't handle it, and
well, that is, mythological. I almost said historically accurate, but no, it's mythologically accurate, which is as inaccurate as you can get.
Hera then makes a deal with the baby, grown to be Dionysus.
which is not part of the Odyssey. But Fraction talks about this at the end, and I need to start reading more of his notes at the end, like the Apollo and Dionysus, because what happens, he felt, was more in tune with Dionysus being involved than Apollo, like the straight, sun positive god. So he's logic things out, which is very cool. And again, he puts a ton of thought in it. We have a little more action in this one because there's a fucking 3-breasted Cyclops throwing people around and chewing on Vestal virgins or whatever the fuck this crew is made up of.
So Odysseia gets the idea that if she's going to curry some favor with Apollo, she should defend a region of hers. So she does that.
Yeah.
She's rewarded, but the Odyssey reaches Kylos, where the nasty Cyclops disgusting thing is. And there's some plot, and there's a fight, and disgusting Cyclops thing eats people, like you said.
Yeah.
Blech.
I mean, I've read the Odyssey. I know how the story's going.
How?
I read it. I actually read it, I had to read it for high school, of all things.
Yeah,
like the actual Odyssey, not like some sort of edited version.
Yeah.
Fucking ridiculous. Like, I think back on that, I'm like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? I remember fucking riding the bus with a friend of mine, and we were in different levels of high school. Because that shit's not fucked up at all when you break it down as an adult. And I'm sitting there reading the Iliad, and he's reading The Incredible Journey, the story of 2 dogs and a cat that make it across country.
All right, now, was he 2 or was he 3?
I don't recall now. I just remember being like, dude, there's something serious. Like, and this was at, what are you at high school, 15?
Yeah.
15. I was like, there's something seriously wrong with our educational system. If they feel that these are comparable, like, you are not that much dumber than me, and I am not that much brighter than you, that this is how this shit should be going. Like, I know you can kick my ass, first off, so, I mean, genetically, you're ahead of me. Let's be as clear as we possibly can here. There's nothing that suggests that at a freshman level, I should do this, and you should read this shit. Was Dr. Seuss checked out the day they assigned this fucking dog walking book?
I got stuck with Catcher in the Rye, man. I got.
That is a great book, and everyone should read that in high school. That is not a negative. Incredible Journey and Catcher in the Rye are so. You may hate it. You can't compare those two.
Oh, Godness.
Well, goddess. It's the Odyssey.
Goodness, no. But still,
Godness, no. Do you know how much your roommate would love that?
Hated that book so much.
Fair enough, but
I would rather have tried to slog the Iliad.
Would you have rather read Incredible Journey?
No.
Dude, I mean, think about that. Like, write your report on The Incredible Journey. Well, one of the dogs is smaller than the other dog. Fucking fuck, man!
So he must have been 3, because I was reading more advanced stuff than him.
Like, I thought he was a relatively smart guy. Like, we always talked, like, we were friends. Like,
but whether you're actually bright or not.
He read shit outside of school, so he should, like, I don't get it. Like,
who was it?
Not getting into that. But the point being, doesn't matter. Still rude. Point being, like, that's fucked up on a base level. But yeah, anyway, I've read the Odyssey. Odyssey, on a whole, is starting to interest me more. I'm still not really liking it. Like, I don't like the art style. It's very...
It's confusing. It's not clean. It's not clear.
Which is fine, because it's also not a clearly written book. It suits it, but neither of them suit me. However, I like that Fraction's put a lot of thought into this and kind of, change things slightly that make more sense.
He's put a frightening amount of effort into it.
And it seems to be moving at a pace where, perhaps we can finish it. I'm honestly assuming you're going to dump this because I don't see you keeping it.
Well, I don't know if it's going to coalesce better in my mind, and I don't know if it's a limited, how limited it is.
Right. Well, my thing is, like, from the perspective of you buying comics, this is my thoughts. I don't see this lasting 2 or 3 purges.
No, goodness, probably not. No.
So why buy it?
But then,
if you're not enjoying it enough now,
well,
not looking forward to it.
There's been plenty of things, movies, novels, not so much comics, but it has happened where I didn't appreciate them at the time.
Oh, sure, no, totally. There's definitely comics that we look back on, but my thing is like right now, like you're dumping things if you're not enjoying them, and I don't, and you're dumping things if you're not going to keep them. And this is falling into both those categories. So while I think it's improving, I don't see us finishing it. So I'm trying not to get like, ooh, hey, I can't wait for the next because it's not going to fucking show up one day.
It can show up if you want it to.
I don't. That's in there, you know, because I know, like if I was like, I'll take it over, you would give me the first couple to have the complete because you don't care. And we do shit like that, but I don't want to buy it either. So I don't see us finish it. Like those of you who are like, I can't wait for the next Odyssey review. Eventually, they're going the fuck away. They're not going to last. Let's just be as clear as we possibly can.
Make sure that's up front.
Well, you know, they're not really funny, and I don't enjoy them as a podcast, but they do review the Odyssey, and that doesn't get enough attention in the national media market. Who the fuck are you?
Not a listener of ours.
But yeah, no, because we've done that. Like, we've traded books before and thrown people the earlier ones.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if I were like, hey, I love this, I'll take it over, we would do that. But I don't love this enough to care about it. I don't get attached even as it improves because I don't see this lasting.
Yeah.
I think Fraction will finish it. I just don't think we will.
Probably not. Yeah, you want to stay positive, but you can.
It's not a terrible book by any stretch of the imagination. If you're into it, like if you are really into Greek mythology and you like fucking reverse history and whatnot, you know what? I read Guns of the South one time.
Revisionist history?
Yes. Well, no, I mean, it's not even really history, so. But, yeah, I've read Guns of the South. I started Turtle Dove's Alien World War II thing that I loathe.
Yeah, I hated that, too. I can't even remember what it was called. It was so bad.
World at War or something.
That's enough of that horse shit. How about something you do like?
I do.
How about Hellboy, 1952, number 3?
Does this feel like Hellboy is like a side character in this thing?
Yeah. Well, it's his first mission, so it's not.
He should be.
He ought to, yeah, but there's a little. There's too many panels that aren't from his perspective, I think, maybe.
You know, I'm liking it. I think. I have not read the BPRD. That's the one giant hole. Like, I've read some of the Witchfinder. I've read even the Armor 44 one. You make sure we read every Baltimore. I make sure we read every Lobster Johnson.
Yeah.
So we're on top of most of these things, but the BPRD is such a convoluted...
Well, I'm not real certain it applies here because there wasn't much of a BPRD before this mission.
Well, no, there was 1949, 1950, 1951.
There were that many?
I think so. Or there might even have been a 48. Like, there were a few of those.
I remember
we read 2 of them.
I remember 51.
That was the vampire one, right?
Yeah.
We've read 1 or 2 of them, and there were 1 or 2 before that, because I have pieces of them here or there that I
don't remember those.
Well, because I found like dollar bins, things like that.
Oh,
like,
that's why.
We bought part of one and one complete one.
Yeah, okay. All right, so maybe it does matter more than I thought.
But, yeah, if there's connections and if some of these characters are carried over, and plus we haven't read a lot of just the overall BPRD, like the teams going out. You know, we read the Hellboy stuff. We read the other ones. So... I have no idea if this carries over, and we read the vampire one once, and that guy took off, so I don't think he's related to this. I have them somewhere, or you have them somewhere. I don't remember who ended up with those.
This issue, however, is super bizarre. Bob survives a grenade somehow. Archie wants to search for Hellboy.
Bob threw the grenade. Hellboy, remember he chucked it in and then pretends like he survived.
Oh yeah. So the monkey thing shows up again.
Oh, that was awesome. The monkey demon is actually electronically controlled monkeys. Oh, that made me so happy.
They almost kill it, but it gives like dark visions of rituals or some weird fucking thing. The film director, who shouldn't even be there because he's using the castle for the set of his latest
I think
whatever.
That was the driver, not the director.
Sure? Okay.
I'm not, actually. That's the sad part.
He drives up with more cyber demon monkeys floating around.
So good.
Dave hits him with a truck, which amused me. It's just like, oh, you're bringing cyber demon monkey things.
Kid, don't ram monkeys with trucks. But thanks for doing it this time. Also, don't do crack. You know, the lessons that you learn from the BPRD team are not amazing.
Hellboy gets found by a talking gator who recognizes him for what he is and wants to kill him. And another team member who remains undefined because the art is too dark finds Hellboy.
Yes, apparently his one of his buddies hunts him down. The rest of the team's like, well, and he didn't make it. Like, shit, we die all the time.
What do you want for us?
Like fucking vampire bats ate my partner last week.
I don't know what you want from me. What the?
It is a fun one. It's the downside of Hellboy. The upside of Hellboy is it's amazing, and I love it. The downside is that at this point it's so convoluted you can't jump in.
Nah, you really can't.
Like, you look at Hellboy in Hell, if you were to start reading that, you're like, what the fuck?
Well, a lot of stuff got skipped before that. I mean, I didn't even know Hellboy was dead.
Yeah, well, when we started the podcast, I had moved away from Hellboy for a bit, and then when it became a regular thing, and I actually started buying comics again, the Hellboy stuff started upgrading more in our comic buying.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a whole couple of years that I'm missing pieces of, and I'm not sure what happened. But it's gotten so different from its original vision.
Yeah, because it was mostly horror, right? And now it's just kind of
It's horror, but it
mission-y.
was lighter. But yeah, like there's so many different things going on. The team there's so many books, and they're all miniseries with the exception of BPRD and oddly enough, Abe Sapien.
You should really make that a project.
What, picking up the Abe Sapiens?
No. The filling in Hellboy / BPRD shit.
The Hellboy, I look for the issues, and I've made a decent chunk of picking those up. The BPRDs, I just have to get the graphics of at this point. There's far too many out there. And I have the one that you bought me, which was like part 2 of the War, which is like the 8th or 9th one.
Yeah.
And then I have the very first one. But yeah, I have to get a couple, and we usually have to kind of delve back and reread all that stuff.
Yeah.
Because your overall Hellboy knowledge is fairly minimal, if I recall.
Yeah, it really is.
Not in a knock.
Actually, most of it comes from the first film.
Yeah, you definitely need to do some reading, my friend.
One day I'll crack open a wiki for him.
Yeah, well, you can just borrow that shit whenever you finish the 4,000 things you're currently reading.
Yeah, well, that's going to be a while, especially with Free Comic Book Day coming.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause I'll be getting a boatload of shit from there.
Yep.
And in June, special edition comes, and I'll be buying more back issues. Man, August is coming, so I'll buy more. I'm not going to be free for
years
reading stuff till at least December.
That's how it goes. All right.
Anyway, moved forward, went back to Boom Studios for once. To Cluster, #1. Who was by
Ed Brisson.
Yeah, and
Damien Cochero.
Neither of which I'm familiar with.
We've seen the name Ed Brisson before, I know.
Somewhere, but I can't remember anything about it. Now, in this universe, criminals are sent as military conscripts for 15-year tours terraforming planets.
Except barely criminals. Like obviously the war's not going well.
Push their definition of criminal for this, but it's too bad too because they have to fight these the Purrigane. What the fuck was this thing called? My writing is so bad.
I honestly count on you to remember the names.
Well, my writing is so bad, is what it is. Yeah, so this poor girl gets shipped out, and it's Samara.
It's a fairly basic sci-fi start. You've got a lead character who's got some dark past. You've got
Pagarani.
You've got a low-level shoplifting punk girl sidekick. You've got that weird dolphin-y fucking amorphous blob psycho thing. And then you have the one male character, which is the
hard-nosed sergeant.
Right. The smart freaking... What do they call it in prison, though? Trustee.
Yeah.
And now, meanwhile, they all have the Running Man fucking bomb in them that if you get too far from the
right.
you're sent out, but if you're not back within 24 hours. But when their ship crashes, they have to find a way home.
So it's okay as a start. I mean, at least they got terraforming in there, and they got somebody to fight in there. And why it's called Cluster is up in the air.
You like the review? I mean, you haven't really been diving into new sci-fi books because you don't want to add too many of late.
I've got a lot.
No, that's why I was surprised by how many you did this. Obviously, this was a light order week, so you experimented a little bit more.
The next one's huge, though.
That's true. But you didn't get the next Cluster.
No, I must have screwed that up.
Well, no, I think you grabbed a couple ones to see if you liked them.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
You could always, I think this was an intentional experiment.
No, you're right.
And
I
would you
forget-
buy more?
I forget intentions like that all the time.
Well, that's what I'm here for.
Well,
That and the funny part.
If they're sitting at Sarge's when we go next weekend, then yeah, I'll grab them. There should only be one anyway. But let's go to an established book.
All right, what do we got?
Velvet number 9.
Oh, fuck yes.
Which sounds like an awesome perfume that would be
Velvet
worn,
number
would
9.
be worn by someone I could never get close to. Velvet makes good her escape, as we all knew she would. Shaking her pursuers. Oh, what in the fuck did you just show me? Jesus fuck. Why would you do that? Oh my god. You may as well tell him.
It's a guy whose costume was being the robot with Krang in his stomach.
So yeah.
Well, I was trying to look up Ed Brisson like you asked, and that was posted on his whatever that was.
Ugh. So she shakes her pursuers by blowing out their tires, which is pretty much the first time anybody's ever been successful at that.
It used to work back in the 50s, which is when,
Yeah.
she was successful. So obviously people have just gotten worse at it.
She's now partnered with Damien, the former head of intelligence. Also, by the way, batshit insane.
Is he, or is he just so psycho evil? Like,
He might be both.
well, she's not working under the impression that they screwed him. They're working under the impression that he's a psycho killer, and he's got his own fucking agenda that is not going to work out well for anybody else involved.
Not at all.
I love Velvet so. It irks me so much that I made you buy this instead of just buying it. Like, dumb as a stump.
Now, he hips her to some agency history, which opens up yet more plot threads. She questions, though, and smartly, how he's alive still if he knows all this shit on them. There's a long but enjoyable scene of them talking, and she gets arrested on a train.
I can't. Well, no, not even arrested. The cops show up. Like,
Yeah. Well-
there'll be some cop ass kicking before there'll be an arrest.
Probably. This is the Bond we
Okay,
deserve.
Ed Brisson primarily works as a letterer. That's why we've seen him all over the place.
Oh, okay. All right. That's why he's familiar, but
Yeah, we've definitively seen that name a lot.
good God, what a glorious book.
Oh, it's amazing. Like, literally, one of the books we're going to review today, I bought strictly because I was not having another Velvet experience. Like, Russian superhero spy? Yes, I will buy that, so I don't have another Velvet experience.
Uber 22. Good grief. Now, Conrad reveals himself as the spy, Turing as Alan Turing
Yes.
is in this book.
Yep.
As a power positive tested person who can use a halo effect.
Well, he's been in the book before as a reference. Like one of the guys who was working with them.
yeah.
But the reveal that he has powers comes up for the first time.
Yeah. Which is, this. Where else were you going to reveal it? Because at this point it needs to be revealed because Conrad needs to be taken out.
Well,
Didn't have a choice.
The fact that the Germans have doppelganger friggin' heroes.
Yeah. You don't have a choice. Now, remember the Russian chick?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, well, she's got her own plans about how she's going to run her powers and shit. Which is just fine, because if anybody needs to be told, look, we're doing it my fucking way, it's the Russians. So she crosses the Volga or the Rhine or whatever the fuck it is, and she says, well, I've made it to Germany, and they didn't stop me. I call that a symbolic victory. I'm going home. Everybody else around was like, war?
Well, you know what? When you're that freaking, I am not a soldier. It turns out, I am the world's weirdest chef.
She is, man. She goes home and she feeds people on that protein goo she just manufactures out of no place. It's just.
I mean, that stuff looks nastier than a bag of frogs, but considering what we know about the Russian history during World War II, probably very
a bag
appreciated.
of frogs is probably the best they're
Like,
gonna
that's like
get.
priceless. Like, shit, yeah, give me some more frog, Mom.
Apparently, it has the consistency of bread, warm bread.
Oh, God.
Now, poor Siegmund I, who has been sitting in the hospital since her assault on London, is finally given another mission. Goebbels, it turns out, is the one posing as Hitler.
Yes, after many false starts with fake Hitlers.
Yes, the false start. Hi, how are you?
False start?
I can't seem to speak today.
No, or ever.
I suck, dude. That's all there is to it.
No.
So this Sankt guy has been trying over and over and over again to sculpt Hitler properly so that when he gets to Goebbels, everyone will be believing it. Yuck. Goebbels makes a speech, and the issue closes.
It is not the most dynamic of all the Uber issues, but
No,
like, the
not
book is
really.
just it's so turned a corner and gotten interesting. It looks like we're making an art change soon, though. How do you feel about that?
On this issue?
Nope.
Oh, on next issue?
You don't read any of the back stuff, do you?
It depends exactly on how humorous the guy is at the time.
Well, the Uber stuff is always worth going back and reading.
Well, sometimes he talks about his Happy New Year and his Wick Div stuff, and I'm like, I can't care about what you did for New Year's, dude. I sat here with Mike and Heather watching TV and had champagne at 12:01 and promptly went home. I don't care what you did in London in your fucking celebrity comic creator fucking status or whatever the fuck. Can't do it. Don't care. So sometimes I don't read the back matter. You're correct. But, if the art works, then I can't care. If it turns out to be horrible, I'll deal with it because I love the story.
Yeah, no, we're basically coming to the end of part 1 was the way we was describing it. So
Which is a very large part.
Well, because it's World War II, it should be massive.
Yeah, 23 issues is pretty goddamn big for a part 1. I mean, if that's Prelude, what the fuck is the main story?
I mean, that's Preacher. That's 66, roughly. 67, I think. 60 issues was Transmet. You have a massive story. You want things to end in the amount of time. Not everything has to go on forever, and not everything has to be a 12-issue
Well, no, I hadn't
series.
figured that Uber would go forever. That would be pushing it.
Well, you know what? Like, there's all sorts of side stories as the Ubers become more that you could go into. Like, they've very coolly kept things smaller.
Yeah.
It is an awesome book. And again, this is when I started buying and traded it to you, We switched this to Manifest Destiny, if I recall.
Yeah.
But it has really turned a corner and become a great book. And speaking of great books,
we turn to a not great book.
It continues to improve. I believe you dumped this one already, right?
Yeah, I did not buy... I think I bought 6 so that I can say I had 6 issues.
Okay. Bitch Planet is not terrible. The first one was really rough. I remember reading that and being like, hell's to the no. But the building up the whole game idea after Hunger Games and whatnot, you're like, okay, well, this could be interesting. Like, is it a Battle Royale type thing?
Well, we get the childhood and early story of the big black girl whose name is
Penny Roll.
Penny Roll, that's right. Who wanted to be a baker.
Not really.
Well, she turned into a baker.
Yes.
Whether
she wanted to live with her grandmother, was actually her mom, was the suggestion I got, but she was considered a criminal and taken away.
That whole thing kills me. That's a weird premise. I mean, I want to know how this universe allowed this to happen.
Well, this whole universe seems to be predicated on if you do something we don't like, you go away.
Well, yeah, but I mean, they didn't start that way. Right?
Well, I mean,
were they cavemen and fucking?
It's another dystopian. We've already done that argument to death. However, what I liked about this was particularly the ending, when their big idea to tempt Penny into being a positive member of society was to show her who, what her mind's idea of who she should be is, and it's the same person she is.
Well, that much wasn't too bad. That was actually right on. It's the execution of everything else getting to that.
It's a needlessly dark, not upbeat book. It's going somewhere. I don't mind where it's going as of right now, but it's another one. I'm not like, I certainly wouldn't take it over. Like, I'm not like, yeah, you got to keep buying this. There are better things out there, and there are other things that we could be trying that we'd like more. Bitch Planet is a decent read. The name is funny, and I do like the fact that instead of GRRL comics from the late 90s, where, female empowerment is basically tramps with swords.
Yeah, that was bad. That was a bad era. There's no mistaking that.
Right. Well, you're getting a lot of female-centric comics right now that are actually well thought out and well put together with female creators. Kelly Sue DeConnick, not my favorite writer, is putting a lot of different things out there. Between this and that Western that I couldn't stand. Let me be very clear. This is okay. I love her Captain Marvel. Did not like Ghost, but I pretty much never liked Ghost.
Ever. You really didn't. Not from issue 1
of any
of
of
volume 1.
I had a couple of the old ones that I gave you because I'm like, I don't care about this goddamn thing.
Well, you like the Adam Hughes art.
He's a great artist, but it's cheesecakey. But it was back then it wasn't as
blatant,
right? But at the same time, it's like, no, I don't care. I don't care about Ghost at all. Anyway, the point being, like, she's doing all these different things. Like the Western one, like, you can't fuck with Westerns with me. Like, here's your arty like, fuck off. No.
It's hard to make an arty Western and still keep it a Western.
Right. No, I take Westerns very seriously.
There's a point where there's no point in having it in the West. The West is supposed to give you certain aspects that you can't use in any other, you can't set something in 1860 in Europe and play it as a Western.
Doesn't work.
And there's no way to make it work. You didn't have plucky outsiders in Vienna. Come on. That's just who was a plucky outsider in 1860 Vienna?
No, Freud.
Plucky?
Well, he wanted to do his mom. I mean,
oh God!
I don't know. My Freud knowledge is pretty minimal. For those of you who have not listened to the podcast before, and for those of you that have, probably can suggest that I haven't studied up on Freud. Like, you never know, but the shit that I come out with probably suggests that I don't have a good inner working knowledge of psychology. My Jungian knowledge is even smaller. I'm not even sure if you pronounce it Jungian.
Yes.
Shit. I was right. I did not see that coming.
You really thought it was Jungian?
Why not? It's got a J.
Anyhow, do you
know who's a big Jung fan?
Mm-hmm.
Walsh.
Neil Young?
Yeah.
Why do
Jung
I care
man,
about
take a look at my life.
All right.
Dude, how did you not know that was leading somewhere you didn't want to go? Like, how did you not see that coming?
I thought you played it out there so subtly. I thought you might actually be talking about someone we knew.
No.
I was like, oh, well, Walsh probably is.
No, it was just a build up to a terrible, terrible pun.
Which is why I hate you so much.
So happy.
Let's get to some happy stuff.
All right,
oh, not happy stuff.
Not
stuff
really.
Stuff that makes us happy. How about that?
It does.
Manifest Destiny 12 and 13.
Shit is just getting weirder.
Wow.
They're more competent than they were. Like, they're not getting slaughtered every issue. So well done. Lewis and Clark have figured out not to have someone die every day.
There's giant monsters. There's strange compasses. There's new Indians.
Dude, the compass thing cracks me up. Like, I found this in the woods. Why did you not tell me? Like, we were being attacked by something like every minute. It probably doesn't mean anything. Can I keep it?
I guess.
No. What the fuck?
Well, I mean, it's obviously something. Natives weren't making compasses, so if they found it where white men had not been before, that's whether it's magic or not is beside the point. It's going to be crucial that thing be studied.
All it means is somebody went out there and got eaten, for fuck's sake.
But how long ago?
In the first, in the first of our 2 issues, 12.
Yeah.
They meet an Indian tribe. We also get some backstory about how they ended up on this quest, and it's not the way you saw it going at all.
Which kind of amuses me because
Lewis and Clark threesome is just nowhere near.
None of that shit's new. Everybody's been doing everything since the beginning.
I just did not see that. And I was like, what the fuck?
You know what's changed about sex in 1,000 years?
Diseases?
The equipment.
Really? Penises are new?
The equipment. accoutrements.
Oh, ick.
See, everything else is nothing new about anything else in there, man.
But yes, so an Indian tribe wants to slaughter them all, unshockingly enough, till Sacagawea points out, like, hey, I'm sacrificing all these stupid white guys to do something. And they're like, hey, go on, right ahead.
Hey, all yours. The small gods live near the arches, and we don't want anything to do with them. So if you can get rid of these fuckers and appease them, you go right ahead. Safe passage.
Please dispose some of the out-and-out nasty that exists in our world.
Yet another crew member falls to the fungal zombie thing, and yet a third gets exiled to a rowboat.
No, that is not a crew member.
It's not?
Yes, I thought so. I'm actually opening this right now to check. That's from 1801. That is a different...
Oh.
That's why the bearded doctor guy who's reading the note has not existed before, because he's not on this mission.
Okay.
That's
I
Captain
totally
Lawrence
missed that.
Helm. Well, because, whenever you write things in cursive, it's just annoying, comic creators.
Yeah.
Like, it just makes my life that much harder.
And every time they find another arch, they find another different type of creature that corresponds to the material of the arch, which is kind of weird.
And this one's made out of shit, which no one can look forward to.
Yeah, so we got, what, dung beetles coming after us now?
Well, they do find the world's stupidest looking bird.
This big blue-toothed owl thingy attacks them, and that ends the last page.
Plus, we now have a army member who's a religious zealot, and people are starting to listen to him, so that's going to end horribly.
You cannot have that, thank you very much. This is yours?
Yep.
I have that to you. So, no, it's a fine book, and it's getting more complicated, which is fine.
But
fine.
It's actually, I think, while it is complicated, I think it's moving at a better pace. There was a period where it was, and we're only talking about with the 13 issues, but there were like one or two in a row where you're like, dude, something has to happen. Like, the frog arch was just fucking painful.
That took way too long.
And more characters are getting developed, which is appreciated.
But they keep losing people and exiling them, and I'm like, how many motherfuckers did you bring?
Well, that's the thing. In these two issues, no one dies. Like, the one guy you thought died was from a different one.
Right, but they still put the guy in the rowboat.
Only for the rest of the night.
Oh, yeah, because he was getting crazy.
Right, he got drunk and wild and punched a guy, so they left him out there all night, and he's like, you know what, we're like the scariest place ever. I prefer not to be alone in a rowboat, which is only like the best idea ever.
Actually.
Like, if those are your options, like stay sober or be trapped in a single rowboat, tug behind the ship to see if a frog monster fucking eats your dumb ass, like, I will be sober. And that's me saying that. Let's just be very clear. Like, yeah, nope, no drinking for me. Fucking feed somebody else to frog dick over there.
Don't say frog dick! Don't say frog dick.
That's just weird.
Well, you said it. I'm telling you not to say it. So whatever the fuck.
I don't know why. I don't know why you're making a big deal about frog dick, but hey.
Oh, you know why? You bastard of bastards. Holmes and Houdini 4.
Houdini is in a self-pitying fucking slump because his wife got hurt, and because he went on with his act. Holmes is falling apart because he's not figuring things out, and he's doing way too many drugs.
Houdini's stuck in a cell naked, about to be deported.
And still breaks out because he had keys in places that British officers just don't look.
That's just too nasty to be believed.
It's nice to know that, if you have a polite jailer, you might not have that experience.
I don't want to know anything about it. So, there's this cryptic message given to the escaping Houdini by a cop who's sympathetic, or maybe hired by somebody.
No, he seems to be a Rasputin follower or hypnotized.
Yes, there we go. So he takes that message and he comes across Holmes, and they decide that the message means that they need to go to the Crimean War Memorial. Okay.
Well, it's your Batman Riddler fucking theory.
But I never knew that the British made memorials from the melted weapons of their enemies.
That's pretty damn awesome.
Actually, it is.
Yeah.
I didn't know they did it, so...
If I'd known, I totally would have gone to that thing. Like, yeah, this is an ex-cannon. You go ahead and look at your statues.
So I was looking at that, and I was like, I gotta look that up. That might be a neat history lesson, because I don't know shit about the Crimean anyway. I don't even know why it happened. The only reason I know where the Crimean is, honestly, and you're gonna be like, really, you? Or you're gonna be like, yeah, you. Because of the shit in Uzbekistan right now.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's in the same area. I mean, I've read, some Charge of the Light Brigade stuff and some novels set in those areas, so I'm vaguely familiar with it, but...
Yeah. So they go there, and they're met up with Rasputin's representative there. But they we don't need you. He's
they
over there.
crush that guy in about 4 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, give us Rasputin, and we'll show how much better we are than you.
They bust in on said Rasputin, who has their associates tied up.
And then a 5-page who's going to shoot themselves first fucking thing happens.
And we're given the cliffhanger that can't possibly be of Holmes shooting himself.
Seems unlikely.
Yes, at best.
Yep.
It's an enjoyable book.
It is. I'm assuming we have one more. I think, 5.
Uh-huh.
It is definitely, I love Sherlock Holmes. I'm enjoying the Houdini thing. It's not my favorite, compared to Victorian Undead with Sherlock Holmes or Moriarty Lives. This is definitely, on the weaker end of things, but I like what they're doing with all these things. Bringing Rasputin in was pretty funny. Although I've always enjoyed when they use Rasputin in the shadow, because there's more of a correlation between the two.
Ah, yeah. I have no idea what you're saying. Yes!
The shadow actually has a lot of Russian history in his origin.
Oh, Russian? Yeah. Really?
I know some
Nepalese,
stupid shit.
But
that too.
Yeah, well.
It depends on who wrote it.
Okay, it's the Russian monk thing, the mystic thing. Okay.
Well, that and the rain, supposedly he was over there at a time during that period.
Oh, all right. Well, that's good. Hey, see, I learned something.
That will never be useful ever.
Ever again.
And those are the only lessons I teach.
So, Men of Wrath 5. Holy shit. Finally.
Everybody dies except
Almost
one.
everybody dies. Reuben's wife is finally giving birth. Reuben's dead. The sheriff talks to Ira, who takes his gun and kills him. He goes home, finds more guns, and has a shootout with the horse killer's man. I can't remember that guy's name. The local redneck
Pew
mafia
or
guy.
Something. Pud or something. Every time somebody said it, I'm like, come on!
Apparently he takes them all out, gets burned all to hell, then kills the Polks.
Yeah, the family that was in charge.
He kills the entire goddamn family.
And then ends up in the hospital, at which point he finds out
that Lizzie has had a girl, and the tragedy of the Men of Wrath's evil genetics is over.
Theoretically.
Wow.
She could until carry 10 years from now when we get Ladies of Wrath.
Ew. That would be horrible, man. Just let a story die, man. Holy crap. Ira is a tough motherfucker.
Oh, yes. No, absolutely.
Jesus Christ.
I feel like Garney's art on this was just sick. It looked amazing all the way through. Yeah. He's a crazy talented guy to begin with, but this was a very tight-looking book. I don't think this was Aaron's strongest. Maybe because there was a family connection in the origin. The sheep herding story in the beginning was from his actual family.
Was it?
Yeah, somebody killed the sheep, so he went and killed them with his great-great-grandfather or something.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe it comes from a different place. As a final issue of a miniseries, this was not effective in that most things happened off screen. Like, you had the big fight scene that happens in a couple pages, but his son dies off page. He pulls the guy who's in charge of the mob into the burning house, and he dies off page. There's one shot of him aiming at the Polk father at the dinner table, and they all die off stage.
Right.
Like, there's just a lot not happening in the actual fucking comic book.
No, that's true. I wasn't impressed with the ending. I was like, okay, fine, it's done, but sure. Got some other books to go through that I kind of fucked up.
Oh, you didn't write notes on?
No, I didn't.
Okay, well, I'll run through these, and you can be me. This will be neat. Never done this before. So, Divinity is a Valiant book.
One of our very few Valiant books.
And this is a you purchase because you like the writer.
Yeah, but I had forgotten I'd done it.
What it comes down to, basically, is the Russians are sending somebody into space very far away. They pick somebody without family, without connections, who, of course, goes and gets himself a girlfriend.
Which is not the smart thing to do when you're going out into space for multiple decades.
So he goes off forever and a day. His name is Adam Abrams, maybe? Something along those lines. It was a double A, because I kept thinking of Arn Anderson, the wrestler, because that's how my fucking mind works. And meanwhile, there's another guy, David Camp, who's climbing a boulder freaking mountain thing and then falls off, dies, and starts walking through the desert. So he seems to be, one seems to be the science base, and the other, the aboriginal
base.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the art is very strong. It's an interesting little story. People are changing into fucking David Camp meets Abram Adams. I had it reversed.
Abram Adams.
Which is worse. Adam Abrams at least sounds like a name.
Yep.
But he comes back in his friggin' and tell me that doesn't look like classic DC character Adam Strange.
It really does.
But shows up in his spaceship and starts turning people into birds and friggin' butterflies. One guy's wife teleports in at the very last page. So shit is about to get very weird.
Yes.
So you have a mystical guy that we don't fully understand.
Uh-huh.
And I'm assuming that he's come back from the dead because I've never fallen off a cliff. Where's the page? And I've never, dreamed myself walking through deserts but that looks like dead to me.
Yeah, smacking the living shit out of your head and having it burst into a red mist is...
Yeah, when your head is... When you're drawing without a head, just a big red pile of goo. Now, to be fair, it's an artist's interpretation, but... Seems like things are going to go poorly. Now, I'm assuming you did the same thing here and just did the first.
Yeah.
Now, do you think you could pick up more of that?
I might find a cheap trade somewhere. I don't know.
So it did not appeal to you as much as the other one?
It didn't smack me and say, go. Red 1, on the other hand, I did enjoy, although it's a pretty straight up, we're going to make you a super spy, go spy on people routine.
Yep, it's all Dodson issue.
Woo!
I don't know, Xavier, I don't know, but I guess Terry had read it. They've been working on it for quite a while. It is atypical Dodson art in that it's a lot of small panels.
Yeah, that's very different for him.
It's a very different art. Look at that.
Yeah, that's a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 10 panels on that fucking page.
Yep.
That's a lot for him.
Yep.
And it's over and over. It's almost typical.
Well, it's interesting because normally...
Even the order is close to standardized in this book.
Normally, the picture... look at that. A picture of... Because you have
normally, Dodson would make that at least half a page.
If not a full splash page.
Yeah.
It's... So, artistically, he's stepping outside of a comfort zone. Maybe that's because of the writing. Maybe he's trying something new. I don't know. But, so you have a Russian super soldier who's sent to the U.S. Because there's a serial killer that religious cults are turning into a hero. So she's going to become the new hero to offset that. So I bought this thinking I was going to get the new spy book since I screwed up on Velvet. I'm like, there's superheroes, there's no fucking spies. You lied to me. Freaking previews.
It made me... I thought it was going to be a spy book.
It totally read that way. However, I very much liked it.
Yeah.
Dodson's a great artist, and it's kind of nice. She's ridiculously gorgeous, like all Dodson women, but it's not played up as...
No, not at all.
As much as some of the other ones are. So
she's a hero because she's a hero in Russia,
right?
Which is a different thing than a hero for us.
And she doesn't want to come to the U.S. She's got her menage a fives or whatever she was involved in, but her handler wants to retire, and this is the big mission.
Yeah.
So she's coming for him, and then you've got the pervy, fat, geeky character for all of us to relate to, the comic book fans, who's going to assist her in her adventures. It's a lot of build up, but it looks like an interesting book.
Yeah.
I like being me way more than being you. Just having me explain everything and you just make pithy comments. That's my shit, dude. Never do this again.
You've done it so effectively.
Fuck off.
Oh,
I'm also more sober than I
You don't want
am.
the show to work?
That's not really my first priority. But no, it was a solid read. We did get more of this one, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
When they were on the list.
Yes. Well, Dodson is not the fastest artist to begin with.
No.
And when you look at the level of what he's doing on those pages, this is not going to be a monthly book.
Right.
There's no fucking way that this thing is going to come out on a regular basis.
Now, the criminal I fucked up on because I thought that this was a repackaging of a previous story.
No, this is an entirely new story about Teague Lawless in prison.
So I didn't even read it.
Okay, so Teague Lawless is one of the reoccurring criminal characters. He pulls a job, goes to prison on an unrelated charge for about 30 days.
Right?
His boss is pissed at him, so he removes his protection during the days that Teague is in prison. So Teague then finds a hit out on him constantly. And the running thing through this is that he's trying to read the magazine Conan basically ripoff, and he keeps having, like, the first issue he has to kill a guy with by stabbing him in the eye with it.
I love it.
Burn it so there's no evidence, so he has to go borrow another one. And every time he starts
hilarious.
it, something else happens, so he's constantly killing guys.
I love this book. I got to read this now.
Yep, it came out originally in a magazine format as well, which we were going to get, but looked to be insanely more expensive, so we went with these.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Because I was like, get me that one if it's the same price. And you're like, I will.
It's not the same price.
I'm getting you this one. So, Criminal is always great.
Oh, that's right. They called it Savage Sword of Criminal.
Exactly. Yes,
that's
this
right.
is this. So, Brubaker and Phillips are the best team in comic books. Let's be honest.
They are, dude. I mean, as much as I love Bendis and Oming, it's not the same.
No, like, Bendis and Oming do one thing really well. These guys have done like 8 different style books.
And then there's Glass and Oming.
Also one thing. Like, these guys do all over the place. I mean, yes, it's always got a darker, violent tone to it, but the difference between Criminal and Fatale and Face Off, or whatever, Fade Out.
Fade Out. Yeah.
Face Off is a TV show. One beer. Let's be clear. But yeah, anything Criminal comes out, we just buy. Like, and
that's a given.
That's another thing. Like,
I
as
wish
much
there was
as I
some more
like the
incognito.
graphics, yeah, I love that, and it was so ripe for another one too.
Yeah,
it had just been busted. You're waiting for the next thing, and it never came. As much as I love the graphics, the cool thing about buying individual issues of Criminal is they do all these articles and bring in people. Like, all the back matter is so much more impressive than just like a letters page.
Yep.
So, like, if you find older
good
issues,
history on pulps and shit
like, if I could
that.
find old Criminals, I will pick them up just for the back matter, because it's not in the graphics.
Smart man.
But they've just reprinted all the graphics, so this was brought to kind of remind people about the Criminal universe.
Yeah.
So it doesn't seem like they're building towards another Criminal right now. They seem to be doing the Fade Out. They just finished Fatale. So as much as I was like, yes, they're revisiting, this is a one.
Well, as long as those two are staying busy and producing work, I'm with it.
Yep.
Boom. That's an episode, baby.
It so is. What time are we at?
It's 1 hour 6 minutes.
Wow, that was long. Sober is so much easier, and there's no movie to distract you. Like,
yes.
Hey, look, she's half naked.
We also got to get you home.
That's true.
You got just exactly enough time to get there.
Woohoo! All right.
At any rate, have fun, kids.
Bless you, fucker!
And away.
The Mean Geek is recorded live at the Reverend Mad Duck's apartment whenever the hell we can get to it. Find us on Facebook, Stitcher, Twitter under @TheMeanerGeek. Subscribe to us through RSS.
Or we can be located at our own site, www.themeangeek.com. And most importantly of all, you can find us as a proud member of the Comics Podcast Network.
Email us directly at themeanergeek@gmail.com.
Can I drink now?
You may.